Alright, I kind of wanted to do a little combo video thing and talk about Brandon Miller, the rookie for the Charlotte Hornets, and Keegan Murray, the second-year player for the Sacramento Kings, because I've been thinking about Keegan the last few days because of the recent OG Anunoby report and talking about how the Kings are interested in getting OG Anunoby, but the Raptors, of course, with Masai Ujiri heading that front office, of course he just wants the best deal possible. He wants to win that trade and rob you blind of every asset, even though that backfired and he lost, Fred VanVleet, but that's neither here nor there. It's just funny that Masai continues to get a pass for just terrible mismanagement of assets and expiring contracts. But anyway, with OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam both on expiring contracts, the Kings have been linked to them along with a few other teams. And recently, apparently, the Raptors want Keegan Murray. They want everything from the Kings, including Keegan Murray. And of course, local Sacramento beat writers have sourced reporting saying that the Kings are not going to give up Keegan Murray, which is no surprise in the right decision. But it made me think about Keegan Murray, and it also made me think about Brandon Miller, because both Keegan Murray and Brandon Miller had similar pre-draft stuff surrounding them, if you will. Guys that were considered, defensive wings, two-way players. Of course, Keegan Murray was known for his shooting. Brandon Miller is obviously known for his shooting, his movement shooting, underrated athleticism, and defense as well. But both of them were picked, not as much as the Kings, but definitely the Hornets, much to the chagrin of the Hornets fan base. They wanted Scoot Henderson, the explosive point guard who is with the Portland Trail Blazers, and Keegan Murray was kind of in a similar situation in his draft class, the 2022 draft class, where the Kings selected Keegan Murray with the 4th pick over Jaden Ivey, and a lot of people thought they should have picked Jaden Ivey over Keegan Murray because Ivey was seen as the more high upside prospect, while Keegan was considered somebody who was a plug-and-play ready guy, and so he was seen as having a lower ceiling, which was the same thing kind of with Brandon Miller. And I think these two wings have taught us a valuable lesson about the draft and how we should maybe change our draft evaluation going forward. It's funny, when that OG Anunoby report came out regarding the Kings and their connection to him allegedly, Keegan Murray had 47 points and 11 straight three-pointers that night. And by the way, the Kings should not give up Keegan Murray because that would be a stupid move. By the way, I still like Scoot Henderson and Jaden Ivey. I just want to preface what I'm about to say with that. We need to change our approach, one, with players who played multiple years in college, because I think it's gone too far in the direction of swinging for upside, and I'm all about upside and one-year players with a lot of upside, big athletic wings, etc. But maybe now we can start changing the calculus about drafting bigger wing players over point guards and athletic combo guards. And that's not to say that there won't be a few drafts where maybe some combo guards will be considered better prospects, etc. But Keegan Murray and Brandon Miller were kind of looked at as lesser, or the ceiling was lower, when in reality, we should have been looking at it the opposite way. And this is something where I will admit I'm wrong too. Even though I made a positive outlook Brandon Miller video over the summer, I did say in that video that I still disagreed with the pick and gave some reasons, but I also saw the vision for the Hornets. I wasn't one of those guys that thought the Hornets were dumb for drafting Brandon Miller. But where we could change is maybe think about their scoring upside more, because they are so big at 6'8", 6'9", long. They can really shoot the ball. So will they really even be bothered by a contest if they get their shot off? Because so far, Brandon Miller, he has been looking really good for a rookie. And look, he's on a bad Charlotte team right now with all the injuries they're dealing with, but Steve Clifford has thrown him into the fire. He's been guarding Jalen Brunson, Jimmy Butler. He guarded Tyrese Maxey some in the Sixer game where they lost by 50. Brandon Miller is getting his lumps right now. One thing that has already translated, and I said would translate over the summer, was his shooting and his movement shooting. Brandon Miller is shooting 39.5% from 3 on over 5 attempts per game. He's shooting them off movement, He's shooting them off the catch, in transition, all the stuff we saw at Alabama and in Summer League. And he's averaging nearly 15 points a game, just over 5 rebounds. Done some playmaking a little bit as well, but he's been starting because Terry Rozier was out and now LaMelo Ball has been out for a minute. But he has clearly shown an upside where a lot of people who didn't like Brandon Miller or the Brandon Miller pick kind of have to recalculate his upside. Now, do I still have questions about him being the lead number one on a really good team or whatever? Yeah, sure. But at this point, what rookie doesn't? My point is, because Keegan kind of went through this last year, and then last year we were like, oh wait, Keegan might be way better than we thought. Keegan Murray, as a rookie, shot 41% from three, broke the rookie three-point record. And this year, he has taken another step forward because Mike Brown is giving Keegan Murray the tough assignments, guarding the other team's best player, and it's kind of taken it out of his legs a little bit. He started off slow this year shooting the ball from three because he's taking on more of a burden on the other end of the floor, but now his shooting's rounding back into form, and there's probably even some more scoring upside to tap into there because of his shooting touch, and he can possibly get off some floaters. Him and Domantas Sabonis, that two-man DHO game has evolved. And I can see things with Brandon Miller too, where it's like, we should really think about how we evaluate wings in an NBA draft because the history is right in front of us. Two-way wings are a premium in the NBA. They are probably the highest valued player in the NBA. When you look at guys like Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. And look, guys like Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, they're going to be drafted high. But then you'll have guys like Jalen Williams drafted at 12, and that's still lottery. But if you do a little redraft, he would definitely be in the top 5 for sure. So, like I said, it's a crapshoot. But when you have guys that are perceived to have set skill sets and they can't get any better, like a Keegan Murray and like a Brandon Miller, I think we should start reevaluating how we look at these prospects and scout these prospects. The list could go on and on. Keegan and Brandon Miller, I'm not saying they're going to reach those heights at all. I'm just mainly stating that the archetype of the big wing that can really shoot maybe might have more scoring upside than we thought. Jaime Jaquez, for example, in Miami. Yeah, we all thought Jaime Jaquez fit all the cliches that the Heat like in a player, the toughness, the hustle, the getting back on defense, but Jaime Jaquez has some legitimate scoring upside for a big wing, and we need to start changing how we evaluate those type of players because like Jaime Jaquez, he spent 3 years at UCLA, and I'm sure he was dinged for being a 3-year player. Keegan Murray, even though he was the 4th overall pick, he was kind of dinged a little bit pre-draft in the pre-draft process for being an older rookie, for being someone who was a sophomore, spent 2 years at Iowa, and maybe the Kings should have gone with the combo guard like Jaden Ivey. And I don't think the Kings have regretted their decision one bit, and I'm pretty sure the Hornets haven't regretted their decision one bit. And I want to preface again, I like Jaden Ivey, and I like Scoot Henderson. Please save Jaden Ivey from Monty Williams. But when we look at this now that we're a few months removed from Brandon Miller's draft, nobody's really saying anything about the Hornets being dumb for drafting Brandon Miller. And I just think when it comes to big wings that already have a set skill set that could translate easy to the NBA, like a Keegan Murray, elite shooter, can play defense. Brandon Miller, elite shooter, can play defense. Jaime Jaquez, not known as a shooter, but he's big, he's tough, he can play defense, he can pass. He already had a set skill set, and I'm sure it also doesn't hurt that he was drafted by the Miami Heat. My point is, hopefully in future drafts, we can start looking at two-way wings in a more different light, including myself.